Yo, what's up? It's Rob with Tricks Trading Co. Back at you with another video. Today we have a Pokemon deck review with Ethan's Typhlosion. Do we think it's competitive? How do we think it'll play? Stay tuned until the end of the video and I will give you my honest opinion about Ethan's Typhlosion. We'll start off with the deck list. We do play 3 Ethan's Typhlosion. We play 4 Ethan's Quilava, and we play 4 Ethan's Cyndaquil. This is your main line in the deck, of course, and what you're really trying to do here is you're trying to get to Ethan's Quilava and use Bounded by the Journey to pull your Ethan's Adventure out of the deck, which you will see later in this video. And what that does is helps you just speed up the pace of this deck, which is why you're doing a 4-4 of Cyndaquil and Quilava. I've thought about running 4 of the Typhlosion, but 3 feels really good. And we do play some recovery in this deck, so it manages to be okay, in my opinion. For a engine in this deck, I do play a 2-2 line of Dreepy and Dracloak. This is just really good to kind of get the deck moving. You don't want to move a whole lot, and you don't really want to discard a whole lot. And in my opinion, the Pidgeot line, and Pidgey, they all just get running a little too slow in this type of deck. So the Dreepy and the Dracloak have been pretty good. So we do the we do the 2-2 line of that. For one-ofs, we do play 1 Pheasantipede, 1 Victini still, and 1 Shaman, because we're rocking a ton of non-EX Pokemon for our bench. So that is the one-ofs. Moving into your supporter line, we do 2 Iono for Hand Disruption, 2 Boss's Orders for some pretty big knockouts. You'll see that becomes very important in the late game. And then we do 3 Professor's Research and 3 Arven. Now, Professor's Research, again, we play some recovery, not a lot of recovery, but it does pay off to get a bigger hand, especially in the late game, and try and get things moving since we don't have a ton of draw power. Arven's nice too for a search engine, so we do play some tools in here that Arven works nicely with. And then, of course, like I was talking about earlier, the 4 Ethan's Adventure. So this allows you to search your deck for any combination of 3 Ethan's Pokemon or Fire Energy. So it's really good to get energy early game, but mainly set up your board, get your Cyndaquils and your Quilavas rolling, and then once you have your Quilavas out, you're starting to pull more Ethan's Adventures. And depending upon your matchup, it determines how fast you want to play these. This deck does really well, in my personal opinion, against like a Raging Bolt, or, we do pretty good against, Joltik Box, and it has an okay matchup depending upon how fast Dragapult plays. It does decent as long as they don't turn to Dragapult. Some hard matchups still would be Cynthia's Garchomp, and we actually do way better than we used to into Marnie's Grimmsnarl with a couple of things we're about to get into next. So that's your supporter line. For your items here, I do play the Secret Box run. Really beneficial. I think it runs very smoothly with this deck. It makes a lot of sense. You do have to run Redeemable Ticket because you do not want to prize Ethan's Adventure. Or really, it helps if you have all 4 Ethan's Adventures, instead of having a dead card and one of your Dracloaks or Dreepies are prized, you can Redeemable Ticket once you've gotten your Ethan's Adventures out of the deck, because you don't want to accidentally prize an Ethan's Adventure. We do play 1 Earthen Vessel, we play 1 Sacred Ash, we play 1 Rare Candy, that's for late game. I do play 2 Night Stretcher, I play 4 Ultra Ball, and I play 4 Buddy Poffin. Buddy being extremely useful early game. It can help you get a Victini if you need it. It'll help you get all your Cyndaquils and your Dreepies down to the bench and help you get started. And since we play a heavy Arven line, these tools become very beneficial. Sorry as I make a mess here. The tools that make this deck different in this current format is you can play your TM Evos, and you can play your 3 Brave Bengals. So as long as this is attached to a non-EX Pokemon, it can do 30 more damage. So Typhlosion qualifies for that. You were swinging for 380 before, and now you're swinging for, or 280 before, now you're swinging for 310. And then throw in, I still play 2 Gravity Mountains on the off chance I can't get the Brave Bengals running. Or if we really have to swing for a very beefy EX, you could toss in the Victini, the Gravity Mountain, and the Brave Bengal, and you can actually hit for some ridiculous numbers, which is the only time you're going to use that is probably against Cynthia's Garchomp. And even then, you can't knock it out, but you can put some pretty big damage on the board. And then we run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Fire Energy, since Typhlosion's attack is only 1. And to be honest, we play the extra 2, 1 in case we prize, but also we don't play anything to help with retreat, but everything in this deck has a 1 retreat cost, so it is always nice to have an extra energy laying around. So, to recap this video, do I think Ethan's Typhlosion is a competitive deck now? Yes and no. I think it's probably a solid B tier deck. I will say it is probably the most fun deck that I have played with in an extremely long time. It is very fun to play. It has some really cool moves, and when you combo it out and have some good sequencing, it makes you feel very good about the deck. It runs really good. It does have its moments where it shines, and sometimes you can take out a very formidable foe, and it actually can punish a lot of decks if they misplay, which is really nice because all it takes is 1 or 2 relatively small misplays, and this deck will come up from behind and take down even something that it is extremely weak against. So that is what I've noticed, going into a very heavy Cynthia's Garchomp. If they fill up their bench space and they don't have enough of their supporter Pokemon out on the bench, and Garchomp is not hitting as hard as it normally does, then they don't one-shot Typhlosion. So you're actually able to swing twice, and that is the best way to take down a Garchomp. Now, if you're playing a very experienced player, the odds of that happen go extremely down, which is why we still play the Gravity Mountains. I've thought about tossing in a potential Artisan in here, because Artisan would be nice, but we do play a okay amount of recovery with the 2 Night Stretchers and the Sacred Ash. I've thought about Super Rod a lot, but the 2 Night Stretchers help with the energy, and the only reason I would use Super Rod is to get energy and Pokemon, and you usually end up using that recovery late game when you want to get more than 1 Typhlosion or multiple Cyndaquils back out of the discard pile. Pheasantipity was the only thing that I was kind of curious about, because this is a very much a single price deck. But again, late game, if your opponent takes a big knockout, it is nice to have additional draw power. This deck, if you wanted my honest opinion, struggles the most in the late game. You can kind of run out of steam. So the Professor's Research, even though it can be hurtful in the beginning, if you play them smart and you play it correctly, then you can actually still manage to, come out on top. Plus, in the early game, if you realize that you're playing something that probably builds up a lot stronger than you and is going to be difficult, you can actually get multiple Quilava down and use a Professor's Research and get rid of all your Ethans very quickly. Just know that that is very tough to deal with sometimes, which is why we play the single rare candy for late game Typhlosions. Because I've thought about actually running 2 of these, because I've ran into the late game issue a fair amount of times, but right now we're running the one of, I'm going to keep giving it a shot. I do think the 3 Brave Bengals is necessary. I know we play the redeemable ticket so we can pull it out, but redeemable ticket, if none of your Pokemon are really prized or nothing that is absolutely drastic is prized, you probably don't end up playing it. And if you have all 3 Typhlosion in and you are attacking pretty heavily, then the 3 Brave Bengal comes into play significantly. So I do like running 3. I tried running 2. I could potentially see this going down to 2 and adding in another rare candy and or another TM evolution, because this in the early game is extremely beneficial. I've thought about also upping up to 4 Arven, but in this current state of how the deck is, I think I am enjoying it. I think it's not half bad. I think it's in a pretty decent spot, and I feel like, you know, it runs pretty smooth right now. Again, those would be my honest changes. I would potentially think about a 3rd TM evolution. I would potentially think about a 4th Arven, and I would potentially think about a 2nd rare candy. If anything, I would say the TM evolution, you know, maybe cut a Brave Bengal. You could potentially go up to a 3/3 line of Dracoke, but you really usually only get 2 down, because you need bench space to build up your Cyndaquils very fast. We normally die to 1 hit every turn. That happens quite a bit, so you want to constantly be getting Cyndaquils down. You want to use your buddies, you want to use your Night Stretchers, you want to use your Sacred Ash, and you want to continue to put Cyndaquils down. So yeah, to recap, I think it's about a B tier. It could potentially, once this format or rotation happens, this could potentially turn into a pretty decent competitor in the space. I think that it has a really good shot at continuing to grow with new sets and expansions and rotations. I do not think it's going to decrease in power. I believe that it is going to maintain some momentum and potentially be a viable competitor in the space. It definitely holds its own right now. I am very pleased with the list. Maybe build it yourselves, see how it plays out, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. This has been Tricks Trading Co. and another Pokemon competitive deck review. Peace and love.